What makes up a business? The team. What makes up a team? A group of individuals. I'm going somewhere. Now, they say charity begins at home, right? So if you look deeply at that business or that organization, you will find out that the characteristics, the habits, the attitudes that everybody in the team portrays is as a result of individual characters and habits that they have that they bring together to form a team. Right. Now, today we want to talk about a very pivotal issue that people hardly talk about. Now, we talk about the team effectiveness. We talk about, individual habits, people in the team. We talk about how they come together to organize themselves and achieve a goal. But what we don't talk about is the manager's personal effectiveness. And this is one of the major things that drives a business. A manager's personal habits or effectiveness can make or mar the business. And that's why today we will be focusing on one of the major things that make up a good manager. Let me not just say a manager, a good manager. And we'll be looking deep into personal effectiveness. When we say personal effectiveness, we're talking about how the manager organizes themselves first before they even organize a team, how they, are punctual, how they meet their deadlines. That translates into how they can manage a team. So, to join me to talk about this is none other than a business consultant, a masterclass guru, a managing partner at Certification Edge. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about none other than Mr. Ajibola Bamitele.
Yeah.
Woo, 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 woo. This is where the clap sound should come in. Nice having you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
So, with my intro, the way I was dramatic, I'm sure you understand what I was driving at, right? So, there's something that happens where a lot of people talk about, the team effectiveness, the employees' effectiveness. Okay, I remember one episode that we had where we're talking about why people fire people, and we're saying if some person is not effective, it boils down to the managers. But that's something that a lot of people don't see, right? We see that employees are laggards. We see that employees are not working hard. We see that they are high performers, but we don't see the role the managers play. And like I said earlier, they say charity begins at home.
That's true.
So if a manager cannot coordinate effectively a team, it means that something is lacking in his personal life. And that's what we want to talk about today. So we are talking about personal effectiveness. Hey, I'm proud of my intro. All right, so when we say personal effectiveness of the managers, what do we mean?
Okay, so there's something we call Peter's principle.
Peter's
principle.
Okay.
We said there's one time of your career you'll be promoted more than your level of competence. So most managers have been promoted to the area of incompetence. So it means that you see the foundation of management is your person. Whatever you manage is an extension of you. So when managers keep complaining about my people don't achieve goals, are you a goal-oriented person? Do you achieve goals? Sometimes managers make people do what they cannot do. And people can see it. Somebody said something, said, your actions speak so loud that cannot hear what you say. So it means that people see you and they know Oga cannot do it. Oga will tell us to come 7 o'clock, but he's strolling in 7:05. And he's saying, and some managers don't even have shame. They still have the gut to still address latecomers, even though they come late. And all those things affect your team. It shows that you lack integrity as a manager. So personal effectiveness is about how you set goals, how you manage time. Do you understand ethics yourself? Are you ethical? Instead of you trying to drive everybody to have right conduct, do you have the right conduct? And these are areas of manager's deficiency that personal effectiveness addresses. As simple as coping systems. Some people can easily get overwhelmed about things of life. Something just happens to them, say, I have a lot, I'm dealing with, I'm tired. So there's no way if you're like that. People can pick your mannerism. They can pick your attitude. But a manager, even when you're tired, people pick your energy. And we call it resonance in physics. You know, whereby a body can set other bodies vibrating without actual contact. You know, imagine you hit something now and everything starts vibrating without actual heat. It means that people pick who you are. And managers must take personal effectiveness very serious.
So, there's something in particular that I want to talk about, right? There's so many different characters that managers portray, especially the ones that are not exactly equipped to be managers. And there's one particular one I want to talk about that is very detrimental to a business. Gosh, have you seen managers that lie? There are certain managers that, and I'm saying this in passion because, I mean, I have seen it happen. I've experienced certain things. So, of course, I won't call names, but there are managers that can lie. You know, people will say, you they lie, you sabi lie, you know. So the managers that, and you know, the whole blame shifting and trying to deflect is also part of lying. So there are certain managers that they don't meet up the target, right? We know that meeting up the target is a teamwork, but they don't meet their own end of the bargain. You just said someone who is coming in at 12 o'clock is expecting me to come by 7. Some people actually come in on time, but the managers delay. And then the managers sometimes do not even delegate on time. So when everything now goes south, when they're now reporting to stakeholders, you now start hearing things like, it was so person, is this person, just to save face. You see managers lie, you see a lot of them shift blame.
You know, the reason, this is something you make, I'm so amazed by you saying managers lie, because, you know, it's surprising that
managers can lie.
You're surprised that managers lie.
Because
managers, that means because they are managers, you expect them to be spirits.
No, we don't expect them to be spirits.
Okay.
But chest it, accept it with your full chest that this is my responsibility. One of the criteria that characteristic of a leader, and you've said it several times, is taking responsibility, right? Even if you don't take it, by default, if something goes wrong, you are the one in charge.
I feel we are getting this, we're not saying the same thing.
Okay.
Because you're referring to managers, they dash the title to encourage them. Probably they've been at work for long and they've been supporting the business. We dashed this manager title too. But they're not managers. They were giving managerial title.
Right.
So most times you see a lot of immaturity around people you've given title. You say, who dash him? You know, Odasha manager. But, you know, sometimes most people try to encourage the longest, I've talked about that a lot, the longest serving staff, the days and all. Who should we dash management to? We should not, it will feel bad if we don't give him.
Just to avoid disrespect or see finish.
Just to avoid, as if we use manager, how do I put it? You know, some culture use their wife to do, where I came from, they used it to do visitor.
Okay, yeah.
When the visitor visits,
yes,
you know,
you offer the wife.
You offer the wife water. No, you offer the visitor water. You offer the visitors food, and the other thing is your wife, for visitor to know that you're happy with them.
That's a ridiculous culture.
But the same thing is ridiculous when you offer your managerial title, position to people that are not competent. It's ridiculous. So the same way it's ridiculous when you offer your wife to a visitor. The same way it's ridiculous to offer to offer that role of a manager to people that are not ready for it. So when you say managers lie, the question I ask myself is, how did he get there? Because if he's truly a manager, he should have conquered that. He should be able to take responsibility. He should be able to face whatever that is coming. He should be very assertive.
I mean, what if he was able to mask it well enough? You know, we've been talking about these masking things where someone is coming in for a job, this thing, and they do it so well. But when you now get what you want, you just start showing
you see, you cannot mask management for long, being a good manager for long. You know, they call it ifiniwa. It means that you know, they call what's ifiniwa in if you smoke, your behavior is smoke, or what? Is it ifiniwa? It means that people will smell who you are over time. So you cannot cover smoke. Over time, it will find expression. People start seeing who you are. So managers need to deal with this as simple as time management. right from school days, people lack time management skills. Have you seen people running away trying to catch up on projects?
Yeah.
A project they gave them 3 months ago.
I don't even lie, I used to be like that. And people is me.
You understand?
Yeah.
So now you now start running around a day to day, and you've been given 3 months ago.
Yeah.
The same thing about managers. Managers that don't know how to manage their time. They still engage in student syndrome. I call it ABS.
What's that?
That's adult baby syndrome. So managers are still sucking their thumb and their managers, so people can see it. So we're going to be looking at when it comes to professional effectiveness, we'll look at all round things you should work on: your aura, your courage, the way you talk, your assertiveness, your time management skills. I remember when we were 7, that governors to come late. You'll see people march past this POP. The coppers are waiting 3 hours, 4 hours.
But do they ever come early?
Ooh.
Governors.
That's the problem. So now, if governors don't come early, those that should set the example don't lead by example. How do you expect CEOs to lead by example?
And it's very
managers
crazy
to lead by
because
example?
some people, especially in Nigeria, have seen that it's a syndrome that makes people feel like because I've achieved certain status, I shouldn't be coming on time.
No, you should live unethically. Now, I don't see it as you should start breaking the rules. And there's rule of law. Rule of law means everybody should be equal under the law. I went to a company for a management retreat, and the retreat was meant to start 9 o'clock. Big organization. And guess what? The HR directors were on ground, everybody was there, and some managers were strolling in. And people were, when they were coming in, people were still laughing at them. You are late, anybody? I said, what's this about? Sorry. Oh, I now see the reason why your department don't do well. Because you've normalized abnormality. You guys are already excited, seeing things are abnormal.
Normalizing abnormality.
And it becomes so easy. Everybody's laughing and it feels cool. When I started, the manager sat up, said, what's this about? You should cover your face that we all hear.
Shame.
And you don't have shame anymore. You just feel you can do as a manager. And there's a problem again with managers that are performing. Probably you're a high performer.
Yeah.
Probably you're meeting your goals. Everybody clap for you. Then you feel almost indispensable. Now as a manager, I can do anything. That's nonsense. So it's about the company culture that give room for managerial ineffectiveness to thrive. So personal effectiveness is a major thing. You see, until you heal yourself, you cannot heal others. You see, if you want to remove a speck from other people's face, why don't you first check yours and try to remove yours first?
Yes.
So managers need to first fix themselves before you make your team effective. You must be effective.
Yeah, so Mr. Ajibola, this reminds me of something that I was really going to talk about, and that is a culture that seems to be going extinct. I'm talking about the culture of understudy, right? Then when I was in school, there was a buzz about, understudy, you have a boss, an interim boss, so he's acting, and then they have like 5 people understudying him. So once you mess up, you are out of there, and then someone else takes your place. But recently, it doesn't seem to be happening anymore, and that's primarily because a lot of people get that position because of connection.
Yeah.
Brothers, uncles, friends,
yeah.
and then you're just there.
Yeah.
Or because, like you said, you've been the oldest, so I mean, they don't bond them well to give another person. But that culture of understudy, I believe that it used to create healthy competition, or even if not competition, it makes you aware that this job is not, if you hold it, how do I say, if you hold it lackadaisically, you lose it.
In those days, it was about, if you want to be great, do what I do. But now it's about, if you want to be great, do what I say. So people don't want to, if you even understudy some managers, you will fail. Because those managers, like you said, that they were dashed the role. So if everybody starts doing what that manager does, I'm telling you, your company will crash. I've seen companies whereby the MD called me and said, you know what, I don't want the manager to hear. But you know what, let's call other team members and tell them what we want to do. Because the manager, I don't want them to follow that manager. The question that's asked, why is that manager still your manager? I said, well, there's a lot. So we have a lot of entanglement.
It's like, so you put a role model and tell everybody to blindfold themselves so they don't look at what the person is doing. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And that's what happened. That's why people don't use that mentorship anymore. Because people don't practice exemplary leadership. Now, as a manager in those days, you want to say, if my team do what I do, they'll be successful. So that's your role model. And the same thing happens at home. People don't want their children to do what they do. People know that if their children take after them, their children will be failures. And that's a problem because we don't set exemplary leadership anymore. So even at home, you see parents do things and say, go and carry your book, and the parent is not reading. Don't watch TV, but the parent is watching Telemundo and all through the day, but you are saying the children should not do it. So this is a decadence of character in the society that have trickled down to organization and have trickled down to business, and it's killing businesses. So until we start fixing, and CEOs and owners of businesses must be cultural advocates to ensure this culture is what we want to protect. And what happens so many times again in most companies is that the CEO gets will feel so tired. I've met so many CEOs that are almost giving up. And you see, when they're tired, they're saying, I'm tired of my managers. I'm tired of my managers. Because what they say in the boardroom is not what the managers are practicing.
Right.
So you end up seeing that CEOs also are surprised that things happen. I've seen some situations whereby CEOs are coming and the manager is there. All the teams started running because CEO is coming, but they don't run because the manager is there. They don't run to do the right thing when they see the manager, but they run to do the right thing when they see the CEO.
As you mentioned CEO, that kind of opened a broader perspective. And so there's another issue now in different organizations with the CEOs being disconnected from the organization. Yeah. And by that, I mean, you see someone just set up a business. You are the CEO. You are the brain behind this organization. You should be 100% involved. I know it can be easy. I mean, of course, because you have meetings, you have deadlines and all that. But as the CEO, you should be involved in the business. If for anything, you should know what your managers are up to. But you find that in some organizations, and this happens a lot of times. In fact, something also happened, one of my friend's companies just very recently, where the CEO has no idea what is happening, right? In an organization where the high performers lost their jobs, I'm talking about almost 5 people got fired because of tribalism, and the CEO had no idea. Few months down the line, the CEO is looking for everybody. What's happening to this department? What's going on? And they're like, this person was fired. What? This one was fired. What? You're not holding your managers accountable because even you are not invested in that business. So what's up with that?
So who mentored the managers? Because the manager should be a reflection of the CEO. So whatever you allow will trickle down also. So how did this manager, keep going back to, how did this manager got there? Who chose them? It's not the CEO. Some CEOs can believe in that you're not a pilot, but you'll fly one day. So they have hope in people. So they believe that everybody can be like them. You need to. So CEOs sometimes also, is that some CEOs just have money to throw into a business. They don't even know about the business.
And so they don't supervise the business.
Because those CEOs also lack managerial skills. There's this conversation about the requirements of to be a good staff. It's different from the requirement to be a manager.
Yes.
And it's different from the requirement to be an entrepreneur. So you can have money, you have an idea, but you lack managerial skills. So you don't even know how to pick the right manager because you don't even know how to spot one. So people pretend. And that's why when you see people talk about the government in Nigeria and say, why the president doing it? Sometimes the president does not know. I was in the States one day, and the president was coming to commission a particular road, and that road was not yet completed. Overnight, they poured coal tar, that dark water, tar on the road so it can look black. So they planned where they would take the president through. And the president went to a place to commission. Everybody in the society started cursing them. Yeah. That's what happened.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think something similar. I saw something similar on the news in one of these African countries where they were building a bridge, and then they called the governor of that state to commission the bridge. And as he stood on the bridge collapsed with him on the bridge. And people were saying that, you see, it's like
Seriously.
karma. You're commissioning something you know is not complete.
So people, and no, he might not even know. You see, that's the problem. He might not know. So
because he's not invested.
Invested, you know. It does not even, it's possible. Okay, let me give you an example. Have you not seen some videos going viral and a governor promising that if I come in, you have times that you'll be enjoying life. And I'm wondering, what is this about? So you see, how people get to the top, how CEOs become CEOs is a major challenge. If you're not a process business, and this happens more in Africa, happens more in this part of the world.
Yeah.
When you see a CEO in Amazon, that person paid his dues before becoming a CEO. That person is still doing management development. He's still going to Harvard Business School, still upskilling himself, is reading books, he's looking how to do things. But it's different in Africa.
So, and I think that it also has a lot to do with sentiment and, you know, the my people thing. Because if I'm starting a business now, the African mentality is, let me start with my friends.
Our culture is diffuse. You know, our culture is not specific. Our culture is like, you know what, sometimes there's this guy called Trumpetance came up with some kind of culture and said, everybody can break the rule. No, nobody can break the rule. No. If somebody breaks the rule, no. Anybody can break the rule. No one can break the rule except people I know. So that's why when you see people take BRT lanes, you must ask yourself, hope there's a soldier there. You know someone.
Yeah.
So it means that the rules can be broken, but it must be that you know someone to break the rule. So everybody is aspiring that I must know someone, so that I can break the rule. So the way people see it, and it's because there's no rule of law, everybody is not equal under the law. So when you start practicing, and if you don't practice it in your organization, your company you're going to fail. Because people will start picking things they see around. And you now say, where did you get this culture from? Your managers are a reflection of the real culture. You say, it's not in our policy. That's not what it is. It's what you do, your managers do every day. That's the policy. Not what is written in the policy. So most times you see people say, but when I study the manager's way of life, then I should be able to determine what the policy is.
Yeah.
If I have to read the policy outside studying your manager, then you don't have enterprise policy, because your manager should be the true reflection of your company's policy.
Right. Okay. So let me ask a very practical question, and please don't come for me, right? This is something that happens all the time, so I might as well just ask it, right? Now, so there's an ongoing debate about whether or not a manager has to know 100% about the functionality or the goals of the organization. Wait first.
Okay. I'm trying to say.
Calm down first.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, right? It's just like human resources as well, the HR. There are certain companies, for example, in the media, I am a media person, and in the media space sometimes, the HR more often than not, doesn't exactly know much about media, but they know their job well enough, to handle the human resources. So I want to link that also to management, right? If I am to be a manager, do I have to know 100%? Let's say if I'm to be the manager of a tech company, for example, do I have to be 100% tech savvy to get my job done? Or does it boil down mostly to my behavioral skills, my people skills, for me to effectively manage the business?
Okay, so I feel that what that question is a bit very, very big and broad. Because if you are a manager of a tech company, you cannot be a manager of a tech company, because maybe you're talking about the MD of a tech company. Because managers are driven by functions. So for each function, there is a manager.
Okay.
So from the IT function, from the media function, from every function, there's a manager. So that means all departments, admin, as a manager, because not if you work in the media space, every department is on. There's cleaner, there are cleaners. There must be manager managing the cleaners, and that person must know about cleaning.
Okay.
The person managing the people in the media space, maybe what do you call them? The presenters, should know about it. So for each function, there's a manager.
So
we now have a group manager.
Okay.
And the function is different because it's not meant to know about details about each function, but it's not to know a bit about those and a high-level view about those functions.
Okay, so thank you.
Okay.
This is why I'm smiling, because I asked that to ask this, right?
Okay.
In this part of the world, you see managers of different, let me not go to the company now, let's bring it out to different units, right, that have absolutely no idea what the business is about.
That's true.
And then they use the excuse, I have the age, I have the experience, I don't need to know about the job as long as I can effectively manage the people. That's why I was asking. Because you see a lot of people recruit managers that don't know. In fact, it will get to the point where the employees, the team members will be the ones telling them, oh, no, we don't do this. I think we do it this way.
So it's possible. It's possible too. That doesn't mean it won't be effective, because as a manager, you need to know what got you a manager. That's for example, if you're a good presenter, when you become a manager of presenters, you only going to have chance to do presenting few times because you're meant to manage everybody to do things well.
You don't have to.
So meaning that 99% of most managerial function jobs does not require those technical roles you're talking about.
But it requires a knowledge of the roles.
So
because how would you know that I'm doing something wrong?
What I do, if I get into your company and I don't know about it, then that's the first few months. Every new manager is meant to learn the ropes. Okay. He's meant to go around. That's not when you start boogaing. That's not when you start feeling I'm a manager, everybody must. That's when you first sink in. Understand the process, understand how things are done before you now start setting standards. So most managers just want to, that position intoxicate them, and they don't want to come down to say, let me go back and understand. So if I come into media now and I'm not in media, I want to manage media, I'll first understand what happens there. I'll understand what do you do. I'll start go around. I'll start bond and collaborate. I know what I want to do. Right. Then when I'm done with that, it's when I want to now say, guys, these are goals in this department. This is what we want to achieve. Okay. Since I know each person's function now, and I don't have to know how to head things, how to do things. I just want to know, this is the timeline you spend doing these things. Okay, this takes you time. This does not take time. Then it helps me to be able to manage you well. All right. Because what people do sometimes is to pretend as if they're working and they're not working. I've seen people that would just be there since manager doesn't know what to do. And they're lying. So basically, it's always very good for managers to have a little bit of insight into the processes, but not the technical know-how alone.
Okay, it's been an interesting episode of Ceed Chat, if I do say so myself. But before we go, Mr. Ajibola, the largest managers gathering is about to shake Lagos State.
It's about to shell in Lagos State.
Do you want to tell us about that?
Yes, it's a major program that if you have managers that you want to, you want them to be effective and you're serious about it, because we're going to be going granular into so many areas. We're going to treat what we just talked about today: personal effectiveness, emotional intelligence, the coping mechanism of managers. How do you manage several complex people? How do you lead a team to achieve goals? How can you be a result-based manager? So there's so much we're going to be learning in that program, and it's something you don't want to miss. The past one we've had like about four in Lagos State. I can tell you, there's been massive testimonies. So when you send people down, you definitely, I don't want to use the word testimonies, it leads to results. So now people start seeing, and your managers will start realizing that the way they've been practicing is not real. In fact, I've gotten people to a point before in one of the sessions we had that the manager started seeing that it's God's favor that made them managers. The natural form, because when people, you cannot help someone that doesn't feel he needs help.
Yes.
So if managers you have don't even know that they are not even meant to be managers in the first place, but they don't know the basic management functions. They don't understand what meant to do. They don't know how to, then they start realizing and they start joining on the right direction.
All right. So, like they say, the first step to solving a problem is a realization and the acceptance that there's actually a problem.
Yeah.
So, if you're a manager or you're an aspiring manager, this is a gathering you do not want to miss. Don't worry, you come back and thank me because it's going to be mind blowing. Anyways, it's been an interesting episode of Ceed Chat. We've talked about managers' personal effectiveness, and we have so many more in our pockets. If you enjoyed this and you want to get more interesting episodes and interesting topics about management, human resources, and everything in between, follow us on all our social media platforms at We Are Ceed Academy, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. I promise you, we have so much more to talk about in our pockets. Till then, my name is Blessings Musugu. Have a lovely day.
Ceed Academy, your growth partner.